High-speed passenger rail is the most comfortable, efficient, and environmentally friendly way to travel, and the United States should invest in this technology as an alternative to intercity air and highway travel. High-speed rail originated in 1960s Japan when the government was faced with the issue of transporting large amounts of people around the country. Japan's engineers' answer to this problem was the Shinkansen, also known as the bullet train in the West. The Shinkansen was the world's first high-speed train and is world-renowned to this day, and has been upgraded over the years and can now travel at speeds of almost 300 miles per hour. Many other countries have created their own high-speed rail systems with great success, particularly Germany, France, and China, with some new experimental systems even being able to travel at speeds of almost 400 miles per hour. Amtrak, the state-owned corporation that operates most passenger rail service in the United States, brought high-speed rail to the U.S. for the first time in 2000 with the Acela train, running from Boston to Washington, D.C. at speeds of up to 150 miles per hour. Although already outdated compared to other countries' high-speed rail systems, the Acela has been extremely successful. Despite only making up 2% of Amtrak's total 21,000-mile rail network, the Acela makes up 25% of Amtrak's total revenue. It's easy to see how popular this would be if it was utilized in other places around the country as well. Trains are an extremely safe way to travel. You're 1,700% more likely to die traveling in a car than traveling the same route by train. Trains are also more energy efficient and better for the environment than all other forms of travel. A 2020 report by the International Energy Agency says that trains, on average, are 12 times more efficient than air travel. This means a train can go 120 miles using the same amount of energy an airplane uses to travel 10 miles, which greatly reduces air pollution. Trains can also be made much longer than airplanes, meaning that passengers on trains get more room and an overall less cramped experience than on planes. High-speed rail is a more convenient replacement for air or car travel for many busy routes between cities currently serviced only by highway and air travel. Trains also require less security and no taxiing or takeoffs. Often passengers only need to arrive at the train station a few minutes before departure. That means high-speed rail often gets you to your destination faster than a flight with less of a hassle. One example of this is New Mexico's own Rail Runner Express. Before its opening, short flights between Albuquerque and Santa Fe were common, and even made up a considerable part of Albuquerque-Sunport's traffic. Now, these flights are no longer offered due to the affordability and convenience of the Rail Runner. Although the Rail Runner is not high-speed rail at a maximum speed of 80 miles per hour, it's easy to see how high-speed rail could be utilized in a similar fashion. One of the most apparent concerns with using intercity rail in the U.S. is how passengers will get to and from the train station without a car. Of course, cars aren't the only way to get around. Cities that have high amounts of rail travel often invest more into public transportation, particularly to and from train stations. Penn Station, New York City's intercity train station, is the busiest train station in the U.S. and has 16 different intercity lines that run through it, including the Acela high-speed train. The station directly connects to 6 subway lines and 9 more subway lines within 5 minutes of walking distance. Even smaller cities' train stations can be built like this. Portland, Oregon's Union Station has 3 intercity lines running through it and connects to 3 metro lines, 2 tram lines, and about 7 bus lines, all within less than a 5-minute walk to the station. Just like airports, many train stations also offer free shuttle buses to car rental companies. When I traveled across the U.S. by train for the first time, I was immediately surprised by how comfortable it was. When I entered the train station, security was very quick, and there was a single security guard that asked for my ticket and ID before entering the waiting area. While waiting, an Amtrak employee offered free snacks and drinks to waiting passengers. When the train arrived, the conductor came to the station and gave everyone paper slips with their assigned seat numbers. My coach seat, which cost slightly less than the equivalent flight in economy, had about 3 feet of legroom space in front of it. The seat itself was huge, about twice the width of an airline seat, and reclined almost flat and included a leg rest. There was also a lounge car, an entire double-decker train car that had a mix of couch and booth table style seating, and a cafe serving relatively reasonably priced food, floor-to-ceiling windows, and roof skylights, available for any passengers that didn't want to sit in the same seat the whole time, which made my 3-day trip surprisingly very bearable. When I got to my destination, I was easily able to get around using only public transportation. The one downside, though, the reason why people don't usually travel by train in the US, was the speed. Because that track had to be shared with cargo trains, I only traveled at an average speed of about 40 miles per hour, even though the train did reach a maximum of 80 miles per hour on some stretches. High-speed rail, as you may have guessed by the name, is fast. High-speed rail also uses its own dedicated tracks, meaning no having to stop and wait for cargo trains to pass. Creating more intercity high-speed rail lines would give Americans this incredibly comfortable travel experience, with travel times often being competitive or even quicker than air travel, all while being extremely safe, energy efficient, and environmentally friendly.